Today the guys will be doing a blind review of Old Overholt. Old Overholt is a Kentucky straight rye whiskey and is distilled by the Jim Beam Distillery. It was originally produced in Pennsylvania by Abraham Overholt. In 2013, the whiskey was reduced to 3 years and 80 proof. In 2020, the proof returned to 86 proof, it was non-chill filtered, and in 2022, the bottle saw the return of the 4-year age statement. We paid the average retail price of $20 for our bottle. As always, your prices may vary. Enjoy.
Thanks, Joyce. Let's go ahead and see what she poured us. There's nothing else I was expecting off that.
That's what I was expecting off that.
I'm getting that slight Sharpie note.
A sharp floral bouquet.
Sharpie is exactly it.
Hang on for a sip.
It's like Sharpie and musk on the nose.
I'm getting a little
I
clove.
like that palate.
That's heavy.
It is heavy.
It's not fruity. It's
like wood and leather and man.
And char.
And char. Yeah, it's like this.
Ooh.
This is a manly tasting whiskey.
Heavy
But it's not
char.
A level of sweetness underneath everything, but
Yeah.
But all those heavier notes are really present.
And a good walnut finish. I wish I was getting more out of the nose than I am.
The nose wasn't bad. It was just...
Yeah, the nose wasn't bad. It just wasn't...
It was generic.
It was generic, yes. Growing up, my grandpa had this hunting cabin that we used to go to. It reminds me of the smell just outside.
Going back to the nose, it is sweeter now. I'm getting a little more sugar.
I'm almost getting a cedar note, which is odd. Usually we get an oak. I think this would go great with smoked salmon.
For a bourbon, I don't think bourbon usually go with fish. I think this one might be okay.
That smoky char, I think with a cedar plank salmon.
I think it could go well with a smoked salmon. I don't know that I would.
No,
I think there are other things I would drink with my smoked salmon instead.
Like wine, where you want the lighter white wines, I feel like I would want a Irish or a Scottish whiskey to go with it.
I would want to go something cedar planked with this just to help bring out those cedar notes.
I think I would go with barbecue.
Just barbecue meats, pulled pork.
A good smoked sausage.
Ooh.
This
Actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A good kielbasa.
Yeah.
Or even just an Italian sausage roll. Let's add some water. Nose doesn't smell much different to me.
I think the nose is not much different. There's a subtle sweetness more.
The pepperiness is now more present on the palate, but the finish I think is really short.
But the cedar has changed to oak for me with the water.
Yeah, it's more peppery and more oaky.
A lot more clove.
I don't think I like it quite as much with water.
We're going to move into ratings. We're going to talk about the nose, palate, and finish on a scale of 0 to 5.
This nose was definitely its downfall. I didn't get much out of it. I got a little bit of floral bouquet, typical bourbon notes, but they weren't all that strong. I'm going to go 2.5 on the nose. The palate, though, the flavors were fantastic. What I got, I really liked. I'm actually going to go with a 3.5. Now, make that a 4. The finish kind of dropped off for me. I'm going to give that a 2.
I do agree with Keith that the nose on this was its where it fell short a little bit. I'm giving it a 3. Thought it was inviting enough. It had a lot of the standard notes. It was a little thin for me, but it was good. Palate on this, I'm giving it a 4.5. I thought this was very good. I do think part of that is a nostalgia. And then the finish, I'm giving it a 3.5. Nothing super exciting, but it was there and it was good.
I'm giving this a 3 in the nose. It is just a bit too musky for my nose. Yet the same muskiness and density that was there came out across on the palate, and I enjoyed it on the palate, so I'm giving that a 4. Finish, I think, was still good, but it just didn't linger long enough. It didn't have much interest there, so I'm going to go down to 3.5. With that, we're moving to our guesses. We're going to guess what kind of whiskey we think this is, what we think the proof is, what we think the retail price is, and then we'll tell you how much we'd be willing to pay to get this bottle on our shelf.
This, I'm fairly certain, is a bourbon. I'm going to go 88 proof on this. Price point, I think it's going to sit at around 25, and I'd be willing to pay 20 to 22.
I also think this is a bourbon. I think it's 90 proof. I think that price point, it probably sits... I actually think it sits around 22, and I would pay 25.
I think this is a 100 proof bourbon. I think it retails for 30, and I'd be willing to pay 26. Let's see what it is.
Well, let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out.
Today,
It's a Canadian. If this is Canadian, like, I'm done.
It's a 125 Canadian.
today we drank, Old Overholt 4-year, a rye whiskey.
I did not get rye.
No, I did not either.
Like, I got a rye bourbon, but I did not get the standard rye whiskey notes.
Yeah, I didn't get... Like, it was a bourbon that had some rye.
So this is Old Overholt Straight Rye Whiskey, aged 4 years. It is 86 proof. It is non-chill filtered, I believe. Somewhere it says that. Non-chill filtered. It is made in Kentucky, but born here in Pennsylvania.
What does that mean?
It was originally made in Pennsylvania. And then the distillery it was purchased by Jim Beam. So now it's made by Jim Beam under the Old Overholt name.
Okay, so it's distilled in PA.
No, it's distilled and made in Kentucky. It was distilled
Originally.
Originally, it was there, and
By
that
this guy.
facility is there?
the property.
The property.
So this is Mr. Overholt. I remember his first name. I want to say it's like Abraham or something.
Probably Abraham.
It's Abraham.
Abraham feels like a good name for an 1810.
Well, he was a Mennonite.
From Pennsylvania.
From Mennonite from Pennsylvania in 1810. That's Abraham.
So
You got
Abraham-
Isaac or Jacob.
Or
That's the
Samuel.
only other
Or
option.
Samuel.
Or Samuel.
So this is Abraham
Or
Overholt.
Moses, maybe.
The property, though, is still, you can go there, West Orphan Village, you can go visit and see the place and everything. They have weddings and venues there. Like, they have museum things going on, tours. So at one point, they removed the 4-year age statement and dropped it to 80 proof. And they lowered the age statement to 3 years because they had to put the age statement on if they want to call it straight rye. They then raised it to 86 proof, but kept the 3-year age statement. And then they raised it again to 4 years. So this is actually a recent bottling where they've put 4 years 86 proof. Now, the reason they've raised it to 86 proof, and this is a reason I should have mentioned like in several videos and I've kind of forgot about, is that 86 proof, you can non-chill filter and it won't get cloudy. Now, if you let this sit...
I was kind of wondering why there were so many 86 proof whiskeys. Like, that seems like a very common...
Yeah, it is. Yeah, usually 80 is like the lowest that you can go. 86, though, at 86 you can non-chill filter. And you won't get the cloudiness because you're leaving in all the fatty acids and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go down to 80, it'll be cloudy. And people will be like, why is it cloudy?
That makes a fantastic Manhattan.
I bet it does.
Looking at Booze App, I'm not getting a clear advertisement MSRP for this because there's no 86 4-year bottle listing. But looks like one says 22, one says 18, so about 20. We paid 19 for it.
Okay, so I said 22.
Yeah.
I'd say if you wanted to pay 25.
20. I said 22.
But it seems like it's somewhere around 20. Somewhere between like 18 and 22 is what I'm seeing. Either way, I think this is a solid, this is a great rye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also thought it was a bourbon, but I wonder if it has all that flavors coming from the non-chill filtration.
Maybe.
But let us know what you think of this bottle down in the comments below. And go ahead and cheers that like button. And until next time, may the winds of fortune sail you.
May you sail a gentle sea.
May it always be the other guy who says,
This drink's on me.